Friday night. Time for high school football. KMIR News. Friday Night Lights. Brought to you by General Air Conditioning.
All right, welcome to Friday Night Lights, your complete wrap of all the high school football games here in the Coachella Valley. Non-league action continued tonight, including the Date Bowl, which pits Coachella Valley High School versus Desert Mirage High, and that's where our Julie Bueller is tonight as she kicks off our Friday Night Lights team coverage. Julie.
Hi, Gino. That's right. It is the annual Date Bowl, and this year here at Desert Mirage, it was the 3-0 Rams versus the 1-2 Coachella Valley Arabs. Now, looking at those records, you might have thought it would be a mismatch, but the Arabs were coming off a big win over El Centro. Let's take it to the action here at Thermal. That win over El Centro really sparked the Arabs' offense. Coach Brett Davis told me that he was really proud of last week's production and looking forward to this week's production. Well, Desert Mirage went up 14-3, but turnovers ended up hurting the Rams. Meanwhile, head coach Jeff Tedlak said that while the Rams may have lost this game and they did end up losing, he was proud of his team, saying they didn't quit and is looking forward to Deanza League action opening up next week. Meanwhile, head coach at Coachella Valley, Brett Davis, said the Arabs are ready for the DVL and the Arabs get the win 48-20. The Arabs feasting on the dates all weekend long. In fact, we'll be hearing from the head coach a little bit later on how sweet that is. Meanwhile, let's go up to La Quinta, where the St. Bonaventure was in town. Dan Armstrong, the head coach of La Quinta, likes to schedule tough opponents in non-league action to get his team ready for league play. But last week, Michael Avina, quarterback, went down. This week, Justin Anderson, running back, also went down. Head coach Dan Armstrong told me that they are waiting on a CT scan. He was carted off in an ambulance, and thoughts and prayers going out to the Anderson family as we await the results of that CT scan. They do believe a concussion may have been suffered there by Anderson. It was a tough night for La Quinta. 41-0 the final, and of course La Quinta opens league play next week against Palm Desert. At Xavier Prep, now last year the Saints went up to Seattle to take on the Seattle Prep Panthers, and they also got to go on a tour of the University of Washington. Apparently made friends with the Panthers because they came down here this time. And Bob Moylett, the head coach at Xavier Prep, said that Isaac Ortega had a huge game, and Darrell Lewis had to go in and play for injured quarterback Michael Johnson. But the Panthers end up leaving the Coachella Valley with the win, 29-7 the final there. Gino, in just a couple minutes, we'll hear how sweet a victory is for the Coachella Valley Arabs here at the Date Bowl. Back to you in studio.
All right, thank you, Julie. Continuing our coverage of tonight's high school football action. Let's go to sports reporter Bridget Case. She's in the newsroom with the latest. Bridget.
That's right, Gino. Palm Desert faced tough competition tonight. A Redlands team that lost to the reigning CAF champs Palm Spring High School by a single touchdown just 2 weeks ago. But the Terriers proved their strength tonight against the Aztecs. Palm Desert led 6-0 in the first quarter, but that wouldn't last long. Redlands jumped 10-6 at the halftime, and they never let up on the home team. Soon enough, up 17-6, although the Aztecs attempted a field goal. The kick was wide. They found a way to tighten the Terrier lead, trailing 31-14, but it was a downhill battle from there. Final score for your Aztecs, they suffer a disappointing 31-14 loss. They enter next week with a 1-3 record and a lot to prove as they take on La Quinta. Rancho Mirage took on Tahquitz High School last night, and despite last week's loss and a rescheduled game due to referee shortage, the Rattlers put on quite a show at home. They go up 7-0 in the first play of the second quarter and dominate. Daniel Whelan kicks a beautiful 50-yarder, and it's 10-0. Another 5-yard touchdown run. They're up 17-0. Tahquitz then fumbles on the 1-yard line. Quarterback Marcus Pryor scores, but Tahquitz answers with a 60-yard run into the end zone. It's 24-7 at the half, and Rancho Mirage keeps their pace in the second half with a 20-yard touchdown pass, and they score again and again. It wasn't just a hot offense last night, but the Rattlers' defense was on fire, and Steven Knight, he's a senior, finished with 2 interceptions. It's a 45-14 blowout, and Rattlers win it. Now, hopefully, this will be the last week of referee shortage as league play begins next Friday, and many of the Valley teams will actually be playing each other, so less officials will be needed. Gino.
All right, thank you, Bridget. Coming up on Friday Night Lights, we're going to take you to Cathedral City as the Lions take on Shadow Hills. Plus, we're going to go one-on-one with the Date Bowl winning head coach. Stay with us for more high school football action. Friday Night Lights continues now with our coverage of De Anza and DVL non-league games. Let's head back to reporter Bridget Case. Bridget.
Yeah, tonight we had another much anticipated De Anza League versus DVL matchup. Two Valley teams were looking for their first win of the season, and of course one of them came out on top. Let's head out to Cathedral City. The Lions hosted the Shadow Hills Knights this evening, a team still devastated after losing to a 59-yard field goal in the final seconds of last week's heartbreaker. But their revenge fueled their unstoppable offense tonight. They found the end zone often enough and continued to go for the two-point conversion on almost every chance they got to score, and by the first half only failed once. Taking a 38-0 lead into the locker room, Cathedral City couldn't gain momentum back for the second half of play despite a series of turnovers. And with their first victory of 2015 and a 3-1 record to celebrate, Shadow Hills wins it 50-0. They face their rival Desert Mirage next week, while Cathedral City will play Coachella Valley. Desert Hot Springs enters this week as one of the few Valley teams that is still undefeated, and tonight they traveled to Lake Arrowhead to face a winless Rim of the World high school, but the Fighting Scots turned their season around and kicked the Golden Eagles out of town. They couldn't hold on to their flawless record, now 3-1 on the season. The Golden Eagles leave the mountain with a 25-0 loss. After getting their first win of the season last week, a motivated Indio High School visited San Jacinto tonight, but the Tigers proved to be too much for the Rajas, destroying the Indio High School footballers and sending them back to the desert with a 1-3 record. Final numbers on the night: Indio falls to San Jacinto 64-0. Next week, we kick things up a notch with DVL and De Anza League games beginning their quest for a league title. For Friday Night Lights, I'm Bridget Case, KMIR News. Gino.
All right, thank you, Bridget. Let's go back out to Julie now with reaction to tonight's Date Bowl.
That's right. When you've got two rivals, one undefeated, one with a losing record, there's going to be a lot of emotion after a big win, and we caught up with Arab quarterback Darius Holsey and head coach Brett Davis after they were victorious in the Date Bowl.
Talk about what your mindset was like coming into this game, and did you guys get everything you want out of it?
To me, this mindset coming into this game was a little bit different. We were 1-2. They're 3-0. Everyone had big hype on them. But I knew we were a better team than what we've been playing. It was just something that it just had to click, and today it clicked, and hopefully this momentum will carry us on and we'll go to the playoffs like we hope.
What do you think clicked for this matchup?
Well, last game we got it rolling too. I mean, we had a pretty good offensive night last week, so that kind of spurred us, and you know, and they came out and gave us every look that we wanted, so that was good for us offensively, and there was just a couple things we had to run, and it was all open, so that makes it easy when you don't have to call a bunch of different things. So but that was it. We just, you know, we've had so many new guys in the system and coming together. We have 8-9 new guys offensively, so it just took some time to click. We knew we would.
What do you think your team pulled out of today for a good learning experience for your league?
Well, one, we didn't quit. You know, we made a lot of mistakes tonight, a lot of fumbles and a lot of penalties that didn't go our way, and it's just that we didn't quit, and that's the best thing to take from the game. The kids never gave up. And, you know, in the Anza League, it seems like it's open this year. It's open for the taking for a lot of people. All the teams are playing well, and so it's going to be an interesting season.
And of course, this was the final week of non-league play. So next week we have De Anza versus De Anza and DVL versus DVL. That's going to be very exciting. And of course, tomorrow night, Palm Springs High School, the defending CIF champs, they kick off at 7 o'clock against Murrieta Mesa, live at Desert Mirage High School. I'm Julie Bueller, KMIR News.
All right, there it is right there. Tomorrow night, Palm Springs versus Murrieta Mesa. When we come back, one last look at your weekend forecast.